da ponte.
Você está sendo filmado.
Você vê que ele desseca só metade.
Isso é coisa do champinha.
Tem mito.
Olha lá, foi.
Levanta a mão.
Pulo, só ela mata ali, cara.
Viado, pela...
Now, you know that Ms. Heard was...
Excuse me. I
I'm sorry?
didn't hear the beginning of what you started saying.
I said, let's start with the makeup.
Okay.
Okay. You're aware that Ms. Heard has both modeled and been an actor and had been for many years before you met her, correct?
I knew she acted. I didn't know she was a model.
Okay. Were you aware that she had a commercial agreement with L'Oreal, for example?
When, now or back then?
What's your knowledge?
I don't know any of that.
Okay. Have you ever been with Ms. Heard when she has put makeup on?
I've been in the room, yeah, when makeup was getting put on her, yeah.
When makeup was being put on her, was this for some acting role or something like that?
It was an event that they were going to.
Mm-hmm. So that was somebody else applying makeup to Ms.
Yeah.
Heard, who was going to have some gala event that she was going to.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever been with Ms. Heard in her bathroom or anything when she's applying her makeup in the morning?
No.
Okay. Are you familiar with Amica cream?
What is it?
Amica?
Amica?
Yes.
No.
Okay. Do you know what type of foundation Ms. Heard uses?
No.
Do you know what type of concealer Ms. Heard uses?
No.
Do you know what type of tint Ms. Heard uses?
I have no clue.
Do you know what types of powders Ms. Heard uses?
No.
So when you're saying that you didn't notice any makeup, would it be fair to say that you yourself are not familiar with what type of makeup Amber Heard uses on a daily basis?
I don't know what she uses on a daily basis.
That's my point. Now, the first time that you saw her, which was May 22nd,
Yeah.
Ms. Heard was there. Were you aware she was on her way to somebody else's birthday party, not yours, but somebody else's that day?
No.
Okay. Can you tell me what her hairstyle was that day?
It's just down.
Down as in?
Just regular. She has it up now. She's got some kind of hairstyle, but no, she was no hair down, regular, no makeup, just hanging.
Well, when you say no makeup, you don't know she was not wearing makeup, correct?
For a fact?
Correct.
No.
And you don't know whether she had applied Amica cream, correct?
No.
And
I didn't even know what Amica cream is.
And you don't know whether she had applied concealer or foundation or powder or tint, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, if she's going out to a party,
Yeah.
do you think she would want to have her bruise exposed?
Objection, Your Honor.
What's the objection?
Calls for speculation.
All right, I'll sustain the objection.
Okay.
Next question.
So, do you recall what Ms. Heard was wearing that day?
You know something? I could have sworn she had on a schmata dress, hippie dress at that particular time, but I could be confusing it with June 3rd. She's got this Victorian type of long hippie dress that has embroidery, and she definitely was wearing that night.
All right, but let's go back to May 22nd. Do you
Yeah.
recall what she was wearing?
I could have swore she was wearing another schmata dress that I've seen her hanging around the apartment with.
And do you recall what color?
No,
Okay. Do you recall what jewelry Ms.
No.
Heard was wearing that day? No. Okay. Now, you indicated that there was a security guard there, and there
Yes.
was Josh Drew, correct? And was there anyone else there?
yeah, the two locksmiths.
Okay, so
And also in the apartment, for a fleeting second, a person went walking by and who seemed to me looked like it was Raquel Pennington, but it could have been another friend that was supposedly staying with them.
okay, so you saw somebody come by. So how many?
No, go through the living room and then they're out of the picture because they went upstairs. So that's somebody that else was in that room but walking by.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and you talked to Josh. What did Josh tell you? Josh
When?
Drew, he took you to the side. What did he tell you?
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
All right. I'll sustain the objection to hearsay.
All right. Before you spoke with Josh Drew in the other room, what, if anything, had been said about what Mr. Depp did the night before?
Objection to the extent it calls for hearsay, Your Honor.
All right. Be a hearsay objection. I'll sustain that objection. Next
I'm not, I'm asking what, if anything.
That was still solicit hearsay.
But he already testified about what Amber said. I'll go back to that.
Okay.
So what exactly did Amber Heard tell you happened the night before?
As I was walking up the first time, she turned to me and said, Johnny came by last night and got violent. So I'm changing the locks on penthouse 1, 3, and 5. Don't worry about your place.
Okay. Did you ask her for any more specifics on what she
About
meant by
changing
getting
locks?
violent?
Huh?
Did you ask her for any specifics about what she meant by he came by and got violent?
No.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm going to jump you to the next day for a few, and then I'm going to come back. But let's go to the next day. So the next day, you testified that you saw her twice, correct?
From Sunday? No. Monday I saw her once in the morning. I want to
That's
say
when she
around
came
12.
by to ask if you could have the key, or that you could leave the key for the house.
Right, for Hilda.
And you weren't feeling well, right?
That's right.
Okay. So you wouldn't have been standing very close to Amber, right? Because you were sick?
Well, I opened up the door and I'm holding the door. We're like 3 feet away from each other. Yeah.
Okay. And you told her you were sick, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know where she was going out someplace, correct?
She was going somewhere.
All
Yeah.
right.
She wasn't going to be there.
All right. Do you know whether she had applied any Amica cream that morning to her face?
No.
Do you know whether she had applied any concealer to her face that morning?
No.
Do you know whether she had applied any foundation that morning?
No.
Do you know whether she had applied any tint that morning?
No.
Do you know whether she had applied any powder that morning?
No.
Now, the next day...
I can tell you, she looked like she wasn't wearing any makeup.
Right. And would you agree that people who are models and actors can be pretty darn good with putting makeup on so that you can't tell they're wearing makeup?
Objection, Your Honor. Foundation calls for speculation.
I think that's a fair question to ask him.
I'll sustain as a speculation.
All right.
Next question.
Do you have any knowledge of the skills of Amber Heard with respect to putting on makeup?
Well, it can't be that good because she's got a friend who is a makeup artist who came over to do makeup, but I don't really know.
Right, and that makeup artist that comes over does it when she's going to be on some show or in some big public event or gala, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makeup person, and you're talking about Melanie Iglesias, right?
Right, yeah, exactly.
Okay. And that
Exactly.
makeup person doesn't put Amber's makeup on every day for her, does she?
I wouldn't know.
How many times did you see Melanie Iglesias put makeup on Amber?
One time.
Okay,
It's just one time.
okay. So she wasn't living at Amber's house, right?
No. I hung out with her and her husband and Johnny and Amber and, over there one time eating. And then another time was when I met her that seeing her do makeup for these guys.
Okay. So you're not saying that Amber doesn't know how to put makeup on herself, correct?
Oh, no, I'm sure she does.
Okay. But again,
I would think she does,
You-
But for the most, I'll tell you what, over 3.5 years, living around each other, for the most part, she's not a makeup wearing person, completely natural. Her, Rocky, total great complexion, Texas natural girl next door, no makeup wearing, hanging out.
Did Amber ever tell you she was not wearing makeup?
Did she ever tell me?
In any of those 3.5
When?
years that you're saying she wasn't wearing it around the house, did she ever say, I don't have a stitch of makeup on?
As many times as she's told me, I am wearing makeup, which is, I can't remember. So I don't know. Yeah, no. There's not one time I remember that or saying that.
Okay. So now let's go to the next day. I think that's the day you've got the 2 times that you saw her. She's with other people.
Yeah.
And she's either going out or coming in, correct?
Well, first time they're coming in, and the second time they're going out.
So they've been out someplace before they're coming in, correct?
Objection, Your Honor. Foundation.
I'll allow it. You can answer the question, sir.
Oh, I have no clue.
Okay. But they're physically entering the house. In other words, they haven't been in the house, they're coming to the house from someplace, right?
Oh, I would have no idea. When I walked out, who knows? They might have been out and in twice before that, but I don't know. They could be coming from another apartment, coming, to go there. And I'm seeing them, it could be the second time that they're entering this apartment, or the first time, or the third time. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I have no idea.
And do you know, so you don't know where they were?
No,
And
of
so you
course
have
not.
no idea whether they were out in public someplace, correct?
No, of course not. I
All right.
wouldn't know that.
All right. And then the later time that you saw them that day, they were going out, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you know whether Amber had any Amica cream on that day?
No, I don't know.
And I'll try to make this faster. Do you know whether Amber was wearing concealer, foundation, powder, or tint that day?
I don't know.
Okay. Now, the next day, I think you said it was she and Whitney, is that correct?
On Wednesday, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, do you know whether she was wearing any Amica cream?
Sir, if you could just answer the
I'm sorry.
question.
I'm totally sorry. I'm
Thank
sorry.
you, sir.
That, no.
And do you know whether she was wearing concealer, foundation, powder, or tint?
No.
Okay. Can you tell me what Amber's hairstyle was on the 23rd?
That's Monday. Like I said, when she knocks on my door, hands down.
Okay. Can you tell me what she was wearing that day?
Not exactly, but if best of my recollection, pair of dungarees and a t-shirt.
Okay.
At the time when she knocked on my door to give me the key. If she went home to go change or something like that, I got no clue.
Okay. Do you remember what color the t-shirt was?
I think it might have been white, best of my recollection.
Do you remember what jewelry Amber had on?
Oh.
Okay, let's go to the next day, the Wednesday, and you've got all these people here.
Next day is Tuesday.
Okay, next day, Tuesday, is when you had the bunch of people coming together to her house the first time, right?
Right.
What was she wearing then?
You want to know something? I do remember a women's beige, long coat. Kind of like a woman's, not a raincoat, but it could be similar to that. It was a beige, long, kind of looking like a business coat type of thing. The female version of a Columbo jacket.
Okay, and what was she wearing under it?
Oh, I have no clue.
Okay. And do you remember what jewelry she was wearing?
No.
Okay. Now, you said that on the 22nd that you kissed her on the cheek.
What day?
The 22nd, your birthday?
22nd, Sunday, yes.
Okay. So when you showed it the first time, you went like this, right? And then the next time when you said you did the kisses, you went like this. What's your typical way of kissing women when you greet them or say goodbye?
I'm not understanding any of what you just did.
Okay, so when you, well, I'll just leave it at Amber. When I take it that you would regularly kiss Amber on the cheek when you used to say hello and to say goodbye?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
And tell us how you did that.
Objection,
Could you
Your
show
Honor.
us how you did that?
Which time? Regularly? Oh,
Did you have a different way of kissing her on the cheek different times? Or did you have a general way that you would greet or say goodbye to Amber with kisses?
It's a regular, you give a peck on the cheek, or, like you just touch cheeks and
Okay.
that's that.
So it's a pretty soft, it's kind of like almost a superficial one, or is it a really hard one on the cheek?
No, it's, you kiss someone on the side of the cheek. I don't know, pressure-wise, what kind of talk is there?
I mean, is
lip
it just
talk?
one of these little pecks, or is it much harder?
No, it's a regular. You touch, you touch and boink, and that's that.
So you think it was pretty hard? You peck her on the cheek pretty hard every time?
objection, Your Honor.
No, I'll sustain the objection if you want the next question.
Okay.
Kelsey.
You also showed that you did one like this. Did you ever do a two kiss when you greeted Amber? Two cheeks?
No, I'm not European. I'm from Brooklyn.
No.
No, you give, Europeans do the,
All right.
both sides. Sometimes you even three. Bam, bam, bam,
But you never did that.
No, no.
All right, let's go to the fake punch. I want to make sure that I understand exactly what you remember seeing.
Yeah.
You said that it was 2 to 3 weeks into June. Is that correct? That you saw it?
It's got to be somewhere in that period.
Okay.
To somewhere in the first I would say the first 3 weeks of June.
All right.
Yeah, somewhere like that.
Can you recall which week?
No.
Okay. So you saw Whitney and Amber. Was there anyone with them?
No.
Okay. Do you recall what either of them was wearing?
Long jackets. Yes, actually I do.
Okay.
Long jackets. Overcoats.
And how was Amber's hair styled that day?
Down. Pulled back.
Pulled back or
Well,
down?
it's when I say, it's like hair's down, maybe because of something around the neck or whatever, the hair is, flipped back or whatever. Not tied back. I don't remember if it was tied back, but just where it's full. It's full.
Okay.
That I remember.
Okay. So now where were they standing when you watched this?
This is where would they stand?
Yes.
They're standing, waiting for one of the elevators on the mezzanine floor where there's, I guess you could see, there's cameras that, has that view of the elevators
So
on the
they're on
mezzanine floor.
So they're on the mezzanine level.
Yeah, this is the same level. This is the same level. There's apartments on that level. And that's how the exit, how you get out to go to the garage.
And so were they coming back from the garage?
Well, if they're standing at the elevator outside, that it could be, and waiting to get into the elevator on that floor. So it could be that maybe they came from outside, maybe they know somebody who lives on that floor, because there's apartments there. I got no clue where they're coming from. That's not even in the thought process. When I see this, it's not like, well, I wonder where they're coming from.
Okay.
No, it's
Okay.
just
So now,
what I saw.
tell me where they were each standing.
As I'm watching the video, this tape, Amber's on the left and Whitney's on the right.
Okay? And then tell me, just take us through. Tell me what you saw.
Amber's on the left, Whitney's on the right. They're hanging out. Can I stand up?
Yes, sir.
And so here's Amber, here's Whitney, and they're hanging, waiting for the elevator. And Whitney they're looking at each other, yapping or whatever they're doing, and Whitney goes like this. Pow. Just a fake pow. And then they both start laughing, and then they're just standing there, yapping, doing what they're doing.
And how close does Whitney's fist get to Amber?
Oh, I'm watching this. It's a fake thing. It's not. It's
Right,
not
right.
like she went and she hit her own sister.
No, but I'm
She
asking
didn't go
how
and hit
close.
her. She just, going pow. If here's my face, if here's my face, it's just coming by. Fake punch going by. This, that far.
Okay.
Just making believe. Just making believe. It's a
Okay.
believe punch.
Okay. And then they both laugh, you say.
Yeah, they both, they just start,
Did you watch them get on the elevator?
no.
Okay, so the part that you saw, the elevator never opened during that time.
That's right.
Okay.
That is correct.
And how many seconds would you say, or minutes would you say this little clip was?
Oh, what I saw was 10 seconds, 15 seconds.
Okay. And do you recall what day that was?
That I saw this?
No. Was there a date on the video?
Oh, I don't, if there was, it wasn't something that I acknowledged.
Okay, great. Good, thank you. All right, now let's go back to the argument that you witnessed between Mr. Depp and actually Ms. Heard, who was on the phone or the speakerphone. Do you recall testifying about that?
Say this again, start again.
Yes, let's go back to, you testified that you observed an argument between Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard. Do you recall that? You came into the room, Mr. Depp had Amber on speakerphone. Do you recall that?
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Depp was drunk. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you recall that Amber was actually in London, not New York?
No.
You don't recall that?
No, I thought I thought it was she was in New York.
Okay. And you recall that Mr. Depp was accusing Amber of sleeping with somebody, right?
There was somebody else in the room with her, and that's what they were arguing about.
Are you sure that Mr. Depp wasn't thinking there was someone in the room and she was trying to tell him there wasn't somebody in the room?
He, say that again?
Are you sure he wasn't saying someone was in the room and she was trying to convince him there wasn't anybody in the room?
Well, he said that he heard the other voice.
Okay, and did you hear the voice?
Oh, no. I
Okay.
walked in there already, this is already in motion.
Right, and Amber's saying, why are you saying that, right?
Amber was saying, come on, baby, why are you being like this? What are you doing? Come on, Johnny. There's no need. Why are you being like this?
Right.
And it was taunting.
How is it taunting to say, why are you accusing me of having somebody in my room?
Because they were in the midst of no solution. At that point, it would be instead of taunting, saying, listen, John, let's talk tomorrow and let's end this conversation right now and we'll talk tomorrow and we'll get to an understanding, because there's not going to be any solution right now. But there was none of that. It was just continuous, oh, baby,
So
and that kept it going.
if Mr. Depp, in his drunken state, was suffering from delusions and thought he heard a voice and wasn't, do you think it would have been reasonable for Amber to be saying, what's going on? Why are you saying this? What's going on?
Objection, Your Honor. Speculation.
I'll allow the question if you can answer it. You can answer the question, sir, if you.
Would I think it would be what?
If Mr. Depp was suffering from delusions and there wasn't anybody in the room and he hadn't heard a voice but thinks he's hearing a voice, would it be reasonable for Amber to be trying to figure out what's going on?
Objection, Your Honor. Hypothetical speculation.
I'll sustain as a speculation to that question.
And the bottom line is, you came in on the call, so you don't know what he said first or whether there was any voices, correct?
Whether he heard voices?
Yes.
Besides hers?
Yes.
No, I didn't hear the beginning of the
Okay.
conversation.
And then after the hang-up, he went straight to bed, right?
No, after the first hang-up,
Right.
she calls back again, which was it necessary? I don't know.
Do you know whether she knew? Do you know whether she knew whether he accidentally hung up or not?
That he accidentally hung up?
Right. Do you know whether she knew whether he hung up intentionally or accidentally?
No, the same way that I wouldn't know if, like, she didn't know that the telephone line got cut.
Right. Okay. So after the 3 calls that you testified about, he went straight to bed, right?
Went to the couch and laid down.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was drunk.
Yeah, and he went to sleep. Yeah, he went out.
Do you know whether he'd taken any drugs that night?
No.
Now, you have known, you've already testified, you've known him for 42 years.
Yeah.
You didn't pay rent at the penthouse, correct?
No, no one did.
Right. Okay. And then after you finished at the penthouse, you went over and lived with him in Sweetser, correct?
I live in one of his house that he owns on Sweetser.
And you still live there?
Yes.
And rent-free, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And has, other than the $100,000, you never paid that back, right? The $100,000 that he's given you?
No, that's a thing that's a thing for me how I look at it and stuff. At some point, I would love to pay back that money, but that's not something that is expected. He's expecting.
Would you say you're kind of beholden to Mr. Depp?
No, I'm not beholden at all.
He's given you $100,000. He's put you in that nice.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the whole question. Can you say it again?
You were rent-free in penthouses for a number of years, and now you've been rent-free ever since in Sweetser?
That's a nice friend.
Yeah, okay. And I think you testified already, you're pretty angry with Ms. Heard, right?
When?
I wrote it down that you
Oh,
were.
about the phony pictures that were taken and put in tabloids, and about the fake narrative, and about and the way she's trying to got a fraudulent DV claim to extort and blackmail a man. Yeah, that kind of got me
Pretty angry with it.
frustrated, confused, angry, upset. Yes, which is why I said the best thing for us to do is not to talk to each other.
Okay.
Yes.
And was it fair to say you're still angry with her?
Oh, you know something? It's 6 years.
But
It's
we just heard you give your
6 years.
version.
Am I angry anymore? I'm not, what I am is tired, and I want this all to end. Her to go heal, him to go heal. So many people have been affected by this malicious lie that she started and she created, and it's gone out the door and around the world. And so I can't even paint anymore. I've stopped painting for the last who knows how many years, and that's affected by stuff. I'm not angry at anybody. I want the best for her to take her responsibility, heal, and move on. And for John, his family has been completely wrecked by all of this stuff, and it's not fair. It's not right what she did and what happened for so many people to get affected from this. It's insane.
And Mr. Baruch,
how this happened.
And Mr. Baruch, if in fact she's telling the truth, and if in fact Mr. Depp, who has engaged in enormous rage and domestic abuse and violence of Amber over a period of time that you wouldn't know about, then maybe it's time for him to take responsibility, don't you think?
Objection, Your Honor.
What's the objection?
Speculation, lack of foundation, relevance.
Speculation.
He just went off on this rant and rave about assuming that she's...
You asked questions.
I didn't ask a question that launched that.
I'm going to sustain the objection.
Okay,
Right, next
you don't.
question.
I'll ask this,
Okay.
Mr. Baruch. You don't know whether Mr. Depp has committed domestic violence of Amber Heard, do you?
I never witnessed. I never saw or witnessed whatever type of claim that is being said, ever. I've
Okay.
never seen him be violent since teenagers from first meeting.
I didn't ask you that. I said you don't know whether he has committed domestic violence or abuse on Amber Heard. Isn't that correct?
That's correct. I did
Okay.
not witness any physical
Right.
violence.
But you have seen Mr. Depp use drugs as well as drink and be drunk, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now,
I've
how...
partaken.
I'm going to ask you to take a look. Let's pick up Depp Exhibit number 116 again. It's already in, if we can have that published to the jury.
Ms. Birdhoff, how much more do you think you have?
I think I can finish it up if you give
Okay,
me
sure,
5 or 10
sure.
more
No,
minutes,
that's well.
maybe less.
Okay, all right. I'll
Thank
hold
you.
you to that. Okay.
Okay. So, Mr. Bruce, I just want to make sure that I understand. This is the penthouse thing, and you
Ms.
said...
Birdhoff, if you could go to the microphone, it's just so hard to hear you.
Yeah, I just realized that.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
So on this diagram, when you got out of you said 9:30 today, but in fact, it was between 9:30 and 10 that you came back with your friend, correct?
No, it was around 9:30. Could be 5 minutes one way, 5 minutes the other way. Could have been.
Do you recall saying it was between 9 and 9, or between 9:30 and 10 earlier?
Today?
No.
Did I said that?
Do you recall, are you sure it was 9:30, give or take 5 minutes, or could it have been between 9:30 and 10?
It was 9:30, give or take 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, either way.
And you saw a broken sconce.
No,
correct?
I did not see a broken sconce.
What did you see?
I saw a broken glass on the floor, shards of glass, pieces of glass, which I figured could have been a broken sconce, or possibly maybe something from the fire department stuff that's around the walls. So it could be something broken from that. But maybe one of the sconces broke. I didn't see a broken sconce. I just saw the glass.
Okay, was there typically a sconce right there as you come off the elevator?
Yeah, from my memory, there was sconces on the walls, certain places.
Do you remember looking that night and saying, where did this glass come from? There's a broken one. Did you tie it together?
No, it wasn't. It was an assumption it had to come from some of those places because what the glass looked like to me looked like it might have come from one of those places. Could
Okay.
have been, maybe the sconce.
Okay, when you said from the fire thing, were you talking about the fire extinguisher? and the
No,
glass
no,
over
no,
there?
not the fire extinguisher. There was in the hallway, that first hallway that you go through, the doors that you walk through after you get out of the elevator, those doors, they're fire doors that you close. All right, hopefully no one gets burned to death. That would be, crazy. But then along the wall, I believe, by the staircase, because there's a door that's next to penthouse 5, then there's the doorway, the stairwell door, and I believe there's a thing that's by the floor there, that's got a glass plastic thing around it, so it could have been something from that.
Your Honor, may I approach?
All right, yes, ma'am. Counsel. Do you have another copy of the deposition?
Is this something for me to look at?
Just wait for a question, sir.
I asked you a few minutes ago whether you were sure that it was 9:30, give or take 5 minutes, or if it could have been somewhere between 9:30 and 10. Do you recall me asking that question?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to ask you to take a look at page 39. Do you recall giving your deposition on November 20, 2019?
Oh, from down in Anaheim?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that.
And were you under
deposition. That's
oath
the
at that
first-
time?
Well, yeah. I
Okay, and
think
that-
that's, I believe so, yeah.
It was about 2.5 years ago, wasn't it?
2, 3, like between 2 and 3 years, yeah, sure.
All right, so if you could take a look, starting on page 39.
Hang on a second.
And if you go to the line 21, where were you on the evening of May 21, 2016? And your answer was, all right. So I was out in the street. I was with a buddy of mine, calls me. He asked if I wanted to go out and eat. And I says, I just ate, just meet me. Let's meet at the apartment. Let's go hang out. So I met him at my apartment probably, I want to say, around 9:30 or a little bit later. I don't know, yeah, between 9:30 and 10. Do you see that?
So I met him at my apartment, probably I want to say around 9:30 or a little bit later. I don't know, yeah, between 9:30 and 10.
Okay.
And that ends up,
So does that refresh your recollection that it could have been a little bit, somewhere between 9:30 and 10?
I go more with 9:30, give or take 5 minutes, because it could have been 9:20.
Okay,
It
but,
could have been 9:25.
But-
It could have been 9:35, but I go with 9:30.
okay. And did you see any police officers?
No,
Okay. Did you ever hear any police officers?
no.
Okay. So let's go back to this 116 for a second. And you said that you saw a lot of wine right outside of
Wait a
Penthouse.
second, it's line 115?
Sorry. The exhibit that's in front of you on the screen.
Oh.
So you go by Penthouse, now I have to hurry up to make my promise to Your Honor. So you see Penthouse 1 there, and you said that the wine was in that area, right?
It's in front of the door.
Okay.
It's a little, it's gonna be 1.5 feet, 2 feet up further. north.
North, closer on the way to PH3?
No, it's right in front of the doorway. You have it past the doorway, the blue dot.
Yeah,
It's,
that wasn't intentional.
it's just in front of that doorway.
There we go. Okay. Can you put the dot exactly where it was? Okay.
Can I move that dot?
And how much wine was there?
It's a puddle,
It was a puddle.
a puddle of wine.
Could you walk past it without seeing it?
No.
It was, and could you tell a little bit about how much probably had been spilled of the wine? I mean, were we talking like a half a bottle, a bottle?
Looked like, you know, a couple of glasses of wine, making a puddle.
Okay.
Wasn't like a full bottle. It's, you know,
Okay.
that's a bit more.
Okay, thank you. Your Honor, I do have another exhibit I need to put in, and I think that might take a little bit longer than a couple of minutes.
Well,
So-
how much time were you talking?
Well, I can do it as fast as I can.
You
but-
can try.
Okay,
go
then can we Heather, can you pick up, well, it's going to be Plaintiff's Exhibit 548. Now, do you have a recollection of Mr. Depp having a volatile relationship with his earlier partner, Vanessa Paradis?
No, but then again, I wasn't, I met her a couple of times. We weren't, our paths weren't crossing at that particular time when they were together.
All right, do you recall Mr. Depp ever referring to a circumstance with her as carnage?
What's the relevance? Or?
We're talking, he's trying to give character testimony here, and I'll tell you what, I'll move to a different
Okay,
one.
all right.
Now, you said that Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard were, you said that they were always nice to each other?
Yeah.
Do you ever remember Mr. Depp referring to Amber with the term cunt?
Like to her face?
No, to you, calling her a cunt to you.
Maybe in a text.
All right. Did he do it more than once in a text?
I would have no recollection of that. I mean, he's called me a cunt in a text. So, I mean, it could be. I don't know how many texts. If there's something specific, if you could show me a text, that would be a different story. But I don't. You know, we've had many texts together, many you know.
Okay, let's go to line 57 then. It would be section 57 of the exhibit that I have in front of me. Now, this is a text message between you and Mr. Depp. Do you see that?
Well, there's 80 million texts on
If you
it.
go down to 50, go to the one that's numbered 57.
57 from.
Objection, Your Honor.
This is
See that?
from me to him.
I'm sorry.
May I approach?
Okay, sure.
57.
Right. And this is to you, correct, from Mr. Depp?
Is that how it's? It says from to 323-445-2400. That used to be my telephone number. So.
That's to, correct?
Oh, okay. I understand. I
right.
understand. Yes.
All right. And
That's to me.
all right, and the message he's sending to you, and this is October 18, 2016, is hopefully that
Objection, Your Honor. Exhibit's not in evidence, and she's reading directly from it into the record.
All right.
All right, does this refresh your recollection that Mr. Depp referred to Amber Heard as a cunt, and in fact cunt's rotting corpse is decomposing?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustain the objection, if you could rephrase.
I'll ask it differently. Do you recall Mr. Depp ever telling you that he, in base terms, hoped that Amber's rotting corpse is decomposing
Objection,
in
Your
the
Honor.
trunk of a Honda Civic?
I'll allow it.
I'm not understanding the question. Say it again?
Do you recall Mr. Depp ever telling you that he hoped that Amber Heard's rotting corpse is decomposing in the fucking trunk of a Honda Civic?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Yeah.
You can answer the question, sir.
Yeah, I say yeah. I'm seeing it here, so obviously, yeah, it was said.
Okay.
It was written.
And then go to 59, please. And when you had to move out of the penthouse to go to Sweetser, do you recall Mr. Depp telling you that this was Amber's fault and referring to her as a cunt?
Can I read this
Yes,
thing
please.
first, so that
Yes,
way I
please.
see what's going on? So now, I've just read this, and I understand. I remember this exactly because this is the period of time. You know, I'm moving, and that he's selling the apartments, and there's people who are coming over. I'm still living there, and it would have been better off if I moved out, so that way then the real estate people can look at it and not come in and look at the kind of paintings that I make and all that kind of crap.
But my question to you is, do you recall Mr. Depp calling Amber Heard a cunt and saying that it was her fault?
Well, it's written there, so yeah, I could see that.
Okay.
I don't. That's not what he says. He says that cunt ruined such a fucking cool life we had for a while. I don't know. That's
And
not.
he says, I can't even look at the building anymore, correct?
Right. I can't even
Right.
look at the building
And he's selling
anymore.
it, right?
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.